Welcome to another episode of Show and Tell Books. I'm Amber,
And I'm Chantel.
and today we're talking about When in Rome and the Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. Both of these books have started to show up on TikTok and BookTok tables or shelves in Barnes& and Noble and Target. So we're really excited to talk about them because we love them, but they're not normally what you would see on those shelves. Starting off with the synopsis for When in Rome, it's the story of Amelia Ray Rose, who's a touring singing pop sensation, and she's feeling burnt out. So she decides to take a vacation to the nearest Rome she can get to, which happens to be Rome, Kentucky, and has a bit of misfortune resulting in her car breaking down in Noah's yard, which is our classic introduction to Grumpy Sunshine story.
When in Rome made me want to find my nearest Rome because I really want that story to happen to me because it was that cute. But the cheat sheet tells the story of Bree and Nathan. They were high school best friends who lost touch when they randomly meet each other at a coffee shop. One day, Bree gets drunk in a bar and spills her guts to a TMZ reporter about Nathan, who is a star quarterback. And that TMZ reporter does a tell-all exclusive about Bree and Nathan. And suddenly they now have to fake date for a contract. And they both are using it as an opportunity to try and convince the other person that they should actually get together and date. So it's really cute and really, really light. So just like Amber said, not your stereotypical book talk book.
Yeah, both of these books I would describe as a warm, cozy hug. You just feel better after reading them. They're
I
so
love
light and
that.
fluffy.
Yeah, no, they're definitely like books you read after you've had a bad day and you're like, I just want to escape for a little bit and just forget. And so those books will definitely do that because they improve your mood afterwards.
One of our favorite things about Sarah Adams is there's no third act breakup. So if you're in the market for a book that doesn't have the third act breakup, these are for you.
I do want to talk about the different couples in the two books and kind of, I guess, also the writing style between the two, since the cheat sheet was not the debut novel, but it kind of reads like a debut novel. And then When in Rome was just published. It's really interesting seeing how her characters are so different, but also her writing style is different. For example, Nathan and Brie are really cute. However, they are 30-year-olds, but they could easily pass for like high school students the way they act. Whereas with Noah and Amelia, they actually act their age of being more or less 30-year-olds, which I thought was really refreshing because a lot of times characters that are in their 30s aren't portrayed necessarily how I think 30-year-olds act. So that was really cool.
And it's kind of fun to see how she uses humor in the books to add to the story. So I'm specifically thinking about the Tide to Go and the cheat sheet and how it's just super corny, but just a cute tie-in because Brie makes some offhanded comment to the TMZ reporter about she's the Tide to Go pin that erases all of the other women in his life or something. And Tide hears that and is like, hey, do our Super Bowl commercial. And just really humorous and adds
And
that
especially,
warm hug.
it's cute too because everyone who then ships them sends them Tide pens, which is very entertaining, slightly creepy, but very funny. And I do agree that that humor adds a lot to their relationship, especially because their relationship is slightly immature in a way anyway. So it's kind of like juvenile prank, but it adds to their relationship so much. And they like reference it throughout the entire book and especially at the end. So yeah, I agree.
I feel like there's still some humor in When in Rome. It's just a different type of humor. And I think that showcases how her writing has matured, whereas in the cheat sheet, it's very surface level, easy. Whereas When in Rome, the humor's, I think, more intertwined through the dialogue and the story overall. So there are times where you're laughing and entertained, but it's not so cheesy.
It's a different brand. Even like right from the get-go, right? Like she breaks out in Noah's front yard and he comes and knocks on the door and is like, "Hey, can I help?" And she's like, "No, you're gonna like murder me. Like it's the middle of the night. No way. Like I'm not even like cracking the window. No." which is very entertaining because we're sitting there laughing, but they're shouting at each other through a closed door. So he like goes to his house, comes back with a phone where he has like his grandma's best friend on the line so that she can be a character reference for him. And I was just like, how did she think of something like this? Like, it's brilliant and entertaining and already is such a cute, meet cute that you're like, all right, I'm already shipping these two together.
We do have to talk about like the depth of the relationships in When in Rome versus in the cheat sheet, right? So in the cheat sheet, Bree and Nathan have been friends for years and know each other super well. And so their relationship is already really developed. And the side characters don't really play a role in their relationship or development of the story. Versus When in Rome, the side characters actually, I would say, are heavily involved in telling the story and adding depth to the writing. And it makes us really excited to see where Sarah Adams goes next, right? She's got another book coming out this year, which is a continuation of When in Rome. And I'm really looking forward to it because of the development of the side characters that took place in When in Rome.
I think it's also interesting that because of the trope that was used for cheat sheet versus When in Rome, it lended itself to obviously a different writing style, but also like a different maturity level. So because the best friends to lovers romance, they already have that foundation. Um, she didn't have to build as much their actual relationship. Whereas with When in Rome, since they had never met, one and two, it's a grumpy sunshine. Like they're not necessarily compatible right at the beginning, you would imagine. So she actually had to work to build that relationship. And so Sarah Adams, was really clever to use Noah's sisters to kind of help push them together a little bit more, or the town or the grumpy people in his life who are like, you got to get married, right? Like, I'm the grandma's best friend owns an inn. And so Noah's like, oh, you can go stay with her. And she's like, I'm full. You'll have to stay with Noah. And everyone knows it's a lie, but she helped push them together more. So I loved that Sarah Adams, you can see her growth in her writing style. Does not read like a debut novel. You can see how she used the characters or the location or things like that to help push the relationship along, which is exactly what novels should do. So I agree with Amber. I'm really excited for the next book, which comes out in May, because it's one of the sisters' stories. And since Sarah Adams did so well writing the characters and all the side characters as well, that you fall in love with them. And so that is why like we're thrilled for Annie's story.
Yeah. Well, and it's also really a testament of how Sarah Adams' writing has developed because she uses the relationships that are taking place outside of Amelia and Noah's relationship to further the story overall. So Amelia has kind of a toxic relationship with both her mother and her manager. And Noah, one, kudos to Noah and Sarah Adams writing this fictional man, doesn't try to fix the problem for her, but rather empower her to be confident enough to address the issue for herself. Versus kind of what you see in the cheat sheet where Nathan tries to fix Bree's problem for her without telling her. And
yeah,
the issues in that relationship, if there are any, I would say really stem from that kind of behavior. So I appreciated that Sarah, I think, matured in her writing and character development by giving us a healthy standard, healthier relationship in When in Rome.
I think especially because that's what we all want nowadays, is like not necessarily a guy who will fix the problems, but a guy who will empower women to fix their own problems or to be alongside the way. Or even if in the cheat sheet, if Nathan had been like, look, I have tons of money, I'm a professional NFL athlete, I want to help you. Granted, she was really stubborn, and would have said no. But if he had been like, all right, what if we did this as like a contract kind of way, right? He could have fixed her problems in a different way where she was aware of it and she had a little bit more control over it. And I think that would have helped a lot more to have a mature relationship. That isn't what happened. But I do agree. I love that Sarah Adams had Noah enable Amelia and helped her recognize her problems, because that is what a healthy relationship is not someone who will fix your problems for you, but someone who kind of shows you what you're like what you're missing and helps you realize for yourself what you need to do, not to just tell you what to do.
So, final thoughts on When in Rome and the cheat sheet.
When in Rome was better.
Totally agree. And I mean, we both loved both of the books, but When in Rome,
Yes, they're both so cute.
definitely my favorite of hers that I've read so far. But go into it knowing that it's a cheesy rom-com, no smut. Otherwise, your
It's
expectations.
basically Hallmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hallmark in a book. So if you're expecting a normal BookTok book, you might leave disappointed. Whereas if you go into it expecting Hallmark, like I think you will genuinely love it like we do.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay. Remember to subscribe to our channel and watch another video below.
We'll see you next time.
I don't know.